we I want to talk about some things, but I want to start off on the right foot. We usually try to talk about what's important in life. So we want to take a quick minute and do an RIP. Um, Many of you probably already know this, but the wrestling historian, wrestling podcast community lost one of the good ones recently when Scott Cornish, we've heard on the 605 podcast, passed away. It seems like it was from complications of COVID. Yes, in 2024, still COVID. But I didn't know him personally, never interacted with him. Enjoyed his work. Fake the Merced Daddy, Jimmy Valiant on the 605. So we want to say rest in peace to him, the whole 605 community, the whole wrestling podcast community. And I know that you actually had some interactions with him. So, Mike, I'll let you say a few words if you'd like about Scott.
I liked Scott a lot. He was a nice guy. When I first got involved with 605, don't take this the wrong way, but of course it's going to come across the wrong way. Outside of Brian, Scott was the most welcoming person into the pack of the 605 universe, I guess is what I want to say. Back then it was myself, Brian, obviously, Stutter and Tommy Rich, which is Tom Robinson, who was also really, really still down to earth, really cool with me whenever I exchanged DMs with him. But Scott, more than anybody, was just really, really, really super cool. I don't know who friended who first on Facebook. I really don't remember, but I just remember talking to him, interacting with him, and he was always just super duper friendly. I don't know. I mean, I never had a cross word with him. Never a crossed interaction. Always it felt like he was, at least with me, very lighthearted. Like he didn't really ever get worked up. We always like to use the term worked into a lather, worked into a shoot. I don't know. I just didn't feel Scott was really like that. He just really seemed like a really, really nice, down to earth dude. I remember having a conversation with him about Smoky Mountain because I think he was there for Night of Legends. I'm getting the cards confused. Yeah, I think it was Night of Legends, and maybe it was a Super Bowl of wrestling too. I can't quite remember, but just remember having Smoky Mountain discussions with him because he did a few of the fan weeks with Smoky Mountain that Cornette did. So I know that's how him and Brian met, I believe, back in '94. And Scott was just really cool to talk to. I just remember talking to him about some Smoky Mountain stuff and New Jack, and it's just all the stuff that we talked about in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He knew that stuff so well. I remember he told this story, I think on 605 or a podcast he was on. I don't remember which one. He talked about when where he lived, he obviously wasn't getting Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So I forget who it was, would send him the tapes monthly. So each month he'd get like 4 episodes. And he's like, I just remember I couldn't wait to get the 4 episodes. And him saying that to me kind of reminded me of us, or not, well, you originally when you went through the library, but then me too, when it was like, man, we couldn't wait to get to the next episode. It's like, okay, well, we got to keep going.
How many nights did I come into work the next day and say, I stayed up too late last night till like 12:30 because I couldn't, they caught me at the cliffhanger and I couldn't stop. So I kept watching.
Right. You're sitting there watching on the phone or tablet, like you can't stop watching because the episodic nature of it. You're like, I got to see what happens next. So go to the next episode. Oh, damn. I got to see what happens next. Go to the next episode. So he kind of in the same way, except back when it was VHS and not any type of streaming on YouTube or streaming platform. I forget who was sending him the tapes, but he's like, I couldn't wait to get the next 4 weeks, and I'd burn through them as soon as I got them. And I was like, oh, now I got to wait a month. And he was just a really down to earth, cool dude with me always. I told you right after he passed, I was like, man, I regret, because I remember at one point I wanted to bring him on the show, and I regret just busyness, just never having him on BTT. And now obviously we can't, but he was a wealth of knowledge when it comes to classic wrestling. I mean, he knows a lot about a lot of shit, to be like blunt. And it's really unfortunate. I think he was close to 60 years old, no younger than mid 50s for sure. But I told you after he passed, like, that's too young. Like, we're not far off from that. And I just got RIP Scott, always friendly with me. I thought he had some hilarious moments. I didn't like all his character. I don't say I didn't like all his characters weren't great on 605, but Handsome Jimmy and Mercy Daddy, then I thought that shit was really good. He used to pop me with a lot of his characters, not every single one of them, and I thought he was one of the funny. Next to Tom Robinson, Tom Stuttering Tommy was ridiculous. Like you can't top Stuttering Tommy the way Tom Robinson did that. But I thought Scott was, right next to him, right, coming up in second with some of his characters. So I was at a loss for words. Like, I saw the update and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, because he posted on Facebook just 2 days before that, maybe. Oh man, I'm hunkering down. This COVID ain't no joke. And it made me think when I had COVID, because I remember I don't think you thought I was joking, but dude, that fever blasted me. Like, I had never felt like that in my life. I didn't have trouble breathing, but that fever was the worst fever I've ever experienced in my life. And I just felt lethargic and weak. Never had trouble breathing or anything. So I don't know what the specifics were. I don't know. It really, honestly, at this point, it doesn't matter. R.I.P. Scott, great guy, good dude, and it's just another classic wrestling fan who gone too soon. Let me one other thing, Doc, before I throw to you. We only got so many revolutions around this damn sun and this rock we're on. We have a lot of fun on the show and we poke fun and bust balls and all that, but nothing is ever. I don't think we ever get too serious where we might say something and it might seem like we're angry about something. We ain't, trust me. And what I mean by that is, like, don't ever work yourself into a shoot. These things, especially with this show, and try not in life to do it, because there ain't a lot of times we go around the sun. And,
this is purely for entertainment purposes. And if it wasn't and it became a chore, you would see 3 smoke outlines of us running away from it. So, like the cartoons.
Saying, enjoy try to enjoy your time, because JR used to always say it on his show, Doc, years ago when I listened, tomorrow is not promised. And this was before his wife passed. So tomorrow's not promised, man. Try to enjoy yourselves, each other, your family, your friends, because we ain't got but one chance at this sucker. And
what about the bookers at work? Should we feel good about them?
I mean, it's a good thing that I'm a good, Christian athlete, because that's the one thing that stops me from going off on them. And you know that. And you too. Yeah, ain't no probably. R.I.P. Scott. We're going to miss you, and see you on the other side.